tough subject that you don't want to hear about. You may have noticed when I called the suicide hotline as well as 988, they literally just talked over me and made me feel less than human. The same thing with the police and my friends. I'm literally just talked over. We all have PTSD here. We all have PTSD. Your chances of finding an autistic person that doesn't have PTSD are astronomical. It's just not likely to happen. It could happen. It could. You could run into that autistic princess who got given everything by her mommy and daddy that she ever wanted. You could find that. It's not likely. Is that a Jet Ranger helicopter? Certainly looks like it. That would have two Rolls-Royce 250 engines in it. Originally Allison 250s. Yes, the same Allison company as the Allison Transmission Company. Alright, so 2/3 of people with autism will attempt suicide in their life. 1/3 of those will succeed. One-tenth of 1% of the rest of the population are successful. So 1/10 of 1% versus 33%. We're looking at 330 times more likely. 330 times more likely to end our lives because of neglect. When we're abused, who do we go to if we have no friends, no family? Or none who care, none who take us seriously? You want to listen to people who never got to know us. The problem is that while doctors worked with their patients in the 1990s, learned a lot of stuff about autism. A lot of things that in 2005, with the advent of autistic speech, our lives have been trampled ever since. All of the work that was done for our benefit went right down the toilets because there was some rich people who decided they could cure autism. Well, it doesn't work that way. And then to blanket us all as if we're all football helmet wearing peoples that belong in rubber rooms and crap ourselves at 50 years old and so on and so forth. There's even still a debate over whether Asperger's is autism. Because one of several of the important pillars of their community don't actually fit us. Then again, you need us in order to help identify with those of us who don't speak. You don't try to find out what it is in the environment that your autistic child is having a reaction to. Oh, sorry, ma'am. Thank you, I'll work out. We're treated horribly. And there's a lot of nice people in the world. You're right about that. When you're an autistic male, but you're not quote unquote retarded, you're still treated like you're an idiot. Like you're too stupid to know what's going on. Oh, well, autistic people are too stupid to know what's going on. That's what the dictionary says. Which autistic people? And there's these people that want to know my number. Like, hey man, what's your autistic number? Are you fucking kidding me? What are you talking about? And I found out some states have it rated on a scale of 1 to 3. But some of those states, level 1 is somebody who's highly intelligent. But autistic, that's someone like me. Unless we're in crisis, we're a stage 2, which is needs help. Stage 3 is the ones who can't speak, poop themselves, completely different people altogether. But the thing is, they're not heard, and those of us who have Asperger's are also not heard. And we have to be the voices for those who can't speak. But our voices aren't heard anymore from those who can't speak, no matter how hard we try. It's required that you speak for us, and you just simply don't care. When we're abused, you want to tell us to man up, to take care of it ourselves, to let it go, to move somewhere else, over and over again. Call this place, call that place. Have you tried this place? Have you tried that place? Oh, I told you my cousin's autistic. I don't need you to explain it to me. I told you I have a son who's autistic. I don't need you to explain it to me. You know, my uncle's cousin has 3 kids that are autistic, so I know how it works. Fuck, no you don't. You just so much do not understand respect. When it comes to autistic people, you treat us with the worst disrespect, just like you do to men, just like you do to the homeless. You get to see the rates for the homeless are just as high. 81% of those incarcerated were homeless when they were arrested. 81%, 61% of those killed by police were homeless. 61% last year. Our guilt was just assumed. Our mental illnesses, quote unquote, are most certainly assumed. No matter what, there's some excuse why we must have deserved it. Being unarmed, the man with the gun, or the people with the needle with Haldol and Ativan, possibly even ketamine. You know, that'll make you temporarily schizophrenic, and in some people it makes it permanent. Somebody tells on a bad cop, this is cop standard procedure, call you mentally ill. Refuse to do their jobs immediately like they're supposed to. Blow you off and brush you off and separate you from the evidence, separate you from your friends, from your family. The same thing that your predators do. See, that's the thing about the volunteers. When they started spreading slander about me, it spread like wildfire. Nobody cared what was true and what wasn't. What they cared about is that it was now okay to hurt somebody, and nobody was going to give a shit. Now we got police officers that can intentionally arrest you for trying to turn in police officers. They can intentionally intimidate you, your friends, and your family. And they always try to separate you from each other to do that. Try to threaten you with being arrested for breaking the law, for trying to turn in your predators. How insane is that? We're told that there's all these services that we're supposed to go to that are supposed to help us. They're supposed to advocate for us. They're supposed to try to understand us. They're supposed to speak for us. And they don't. They all follow the autism speaks doctrine of victimizing the victim. Of making it the victim's fault. Of making a victim jump through impossible hoops by themselves. With no hope. None. We have to manufacture our own hope. We have to hope that someday, maybe, somebody will listen to us and actually care about us as human beings instead of voice tales. You know that we're actually better at emotions than are. Yeah, that's insane, isn't it? Studies have also shown that we're more likely to be honest. But all autistic people tend to err on the side of honesty, whereas the neurotypicals tend to be dishonest. So which one of them is rewarded? When you say you don't like a liar, well, you don't like being lied to. You don't mind lying to others. To save face, to save grace, to save money, to save your reputation for whatever reason that you think your reputation is worth saving. If the victim's a male, you just talk over it. If the victim is homeless, you just talk over him or her. If the victim is disabled, they better have a friend or family member that will help them. Or they better have a house. You know what happened to me when I tried to turn in Natalie and her friends for the mean things they were doing to me instead of leaving me alone? I was victimized for it. I was treated like I was stalking people for doing as I was told. I was told by the police to ask her to stop. I was told by repeated offenders, I must say. Officers tell me, well, you know what, you should try to settle this at a court. You should try to settle this at a court. You should try to settle this at a court. You know, you should just man up. You know what, I got real police work to do. Call this number, call that number. No matter what, round and round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. Probably another therapist who will set me up for an appointment in 30 days. In Hood River, all the way back in October of last year, I was taken advantage of and drugged. It was not appropriate and it was not okay. I went to the hospital to verify that I had in fact been drugged. They verified that I had been drugged. They tried sending me to a place that's supposed to help turn that shit in. But that place instead told me that they couldn't do anything until January. I went back to the hospital to explain that to the doctor. You know what he told me? He told me I needed to get a hold of that place. Well, I fucking did. I did. Marcus Ibarra works for that place, and his boss, Courtney, just simply didn't want to do their jobs. Nobody wants to do their jobs. They don't want to look at evidence. They don't want to help. They don't want to have any direction whatsoever, except whatever they want to do must be done. Whether you're capable of doing it or not, who cares? And see, that's the thing about being a male, is that it doesn't matter what laws there are to protect us. All other things supersede it. If a woman actually victimizes us and pretends that we might do something, you don't understand the harm that creates. fact that I have to be afraid to go out in public, but I live in public, it's pretty horrible. The fact that I'm stuck homeless with a bunch of homeless drug addicts. You know what? Everybody tells me all these different things I should do. Call this place, call that place. This place is supposed to help. That place is supposed to help. Shit, they won't even let me explain what's going on or why I'm going through it. I'm tired of being abused everywhere I go, taken advantage of, being treated like I'm a waste of space. Meanwhile, rather than looking at evidence, what do we got? Oh, sorry, I disconnected. Rather than looking at evidence, what do we have? We have people that want to judge based on their opinions. Tell people how to think and how to feel. Tell the victim how to think and how to feel. And then pretend like their words are more important than the victim's. All of their negativity. Oh, you should try this, you should try that. Always trying everything except helping that person turn it in together. Being informed. Why isn't anybody informed? Because they're too busy talking over me. If they make the time to ever pay any attention at all. Otherwise, it's the I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy. And that's how it really is for us wallflowers. Those of us who are autistic are shoved back into the corner. In Boulder County, as a black person, per capita, you are 5 times more likely to be arrested and convicted for anything per percentage of the population than white people. However, that ratio for the homeless is a 346 to 1 ratio over our housed counterparts. 346 to 1. The people who go through the system the most are the ones who are quote unquote mentally ill. The rubber stamps. Forever you can prey on a reputation without ever having to produce a single shred of evidence. I'll never find out why anything happened to begin with. There's a lot of people who are dead because I was not heard, because you want to pretend that autism is mental retardation. When people harm me, you want to tell me that I have to turn it in myself. No, it's treated like it's mentally ill and dangerous. That means schizophrenic, delusional, and beats on people. I'm treated like I'm a Robert Farnsworth. Meanwhile, Robert Farnsworth really is dangerous. I'm treated like I'm a Ted Bollinger. Ted Bollinger actually harmed his own children, and statistically that's the way it's going to happen. 61% of the time when a child is killed violently, it's one of the parents who did it. Sorry, 62% of the time. 31% of the time it's men, and 31% of the time it's women. Women are 5 times more likely to beat their children. 5 times more likely. Women are also 5 times more likely to beat on their husbands, and 30 times more likely in some places. That's because boys have to be afraid to turn it in, and girls know it. All she has to do is pretend that she was victimized. You're not allowed to push her away. If you tell her no, how pissed off is she going to get that you're asking her to stop hitting you? That might result in 5 or 6 more strikes. You're not allowed to do nothing. You're not allowed to say nothing. You just have to take it. If you speak up, it's ha-ha, you got beat up by a girl. If you push her away, then you're quote-unquote a woman beater. So why do men hide? What happened to all the good men? Well, they aren't all millionaires, and they're not all good looking. So you ask yourself, what are you after? Meanwhile, there's a lot of people like me who aren't interested in sex because we see how screwed up it is. How screwed up a situation it is that you would bring human beings into a world this hateful. You talk about how you want your rights observed, but you won't observe ours. We don't matter. You've taught us that. That our words don't matter. When we're abused, we just simply do not matter. Only what other people think matters. Only what someone who is popular thinks matters. And how many of my friends are dead because of that thinking? That exact line of thinking right there. A lot. I can't go to the police because I'll get treated like I'm a quote-unquote mentally ill and dangerous person. I'll never be allowed to defend myself. I'll be talked over. No matter what, unless there's a friend or family member there who cares about me. And although I had friends and family members who claimed that they would come forward, they didn't, and they didn't, and they didn't. Over and over again, promising, but never once actually following through. And I'm told how selfish I am for speaking up about it publicly. But that's how it really is for us. That's the reality for us. We matter so much that everyone's going to talk over us. They know they can try to pity party us, and we're expected to fall for it. But in reality, all that does is show us that they don't care. And those of us who are homeless males, who are at high risk of abuse, the highest risk out here, we're victimized by the police as if we're the people who are committing all the crimes. When the predators out here on the streets harm us, the police are more likely to come arrest us than the people who committed the crime. But we're supposed to be okay with it because we're men. We're supposed to man up. We're supposed to protect women and children who don't protect us. We're supposed to learn how to take care of ourselves with life skills such as cooking. While listening to a bunch of people who don't know anything about cooking telling us that it's not fair that they have to do all the cooking and they're expected to do all the cooking. Well, excuse me, says I, but I've been cooking for myself since I was a child. Come on now. What the fuck are you bitching about? Me and mine are being slaughtered wholesale, and what do you give a shit about? Whether or not your lunch meat is organic, whether or not your tomatoes came from Hawaii, please help me to get assisted termination of life legal for people who are autistic, people who are homeless, and especially men, because you know what? It is pretty traumatic finding a family member after they've done something like that, or a close friend. But take a look at autistic peoples and take a look at why. Why do we have such a high rate? Why do the homeless have such a high rate? We are sexually molested, and as well as being assaulted as adults, 4 times the national average. 4 times more likely to be victimized by our parents as well, or our brothers and sisters. And we already know that we're not going to be heard. We're going to be treated like we're making it up. Nobody fucking cares. We're the ones who are weird. We're the weirdos. We're the strange ones. We're the ones who don't fit in. We're the ones who you punish for showing any sort of emotion, and then you pretend that we have no emotions. You have no idea how many, even professional people, nurses and the like, who say, oh, I understand, you guys don't have any emotions. Like, you really think that autism is the same as being a sociopath? Is that what you're saying? Then you pretend that men are supposed to be some sort of horrible, evil, unthinking beasts, no matter what man it is. Which men do you allow to get away with it? Why are we all punished for it? And why is it that autistic men are so horribly treated nationwide? I should say worldwide. Why is it that we have so many women who want to take away from the plight of men who are being murdered for being autistic wholesale nationwide? A woman is more likely to be arrested in a situation where a male would be shot by a lot. It is very rare that a police officer shoots a woman. Of course, when they do kill a woman, they just say, oh, she was mentally ill, and it all goes away. And that's why the term mentally ill needs to go away. It's used to murder us, and none of you care. As long as it's not happening to you, it must be fine. You get to see how I'm taking advantage of here in Tillamook, even at places like Fred Meyer, where I didn't do anything hateful or harmful to any of those people, but I still have to pay the price. Because Vicky Rain decided to take advantage of me. Because that Molly lady decided to take advantage of me, and because police decided to look the other way and not actually investigate, not actually get a hold of any evidence, and of course prevent me from having a safe place to even write a proper police report, a place to actually organize my evidence. I try to tell them what my disabilities are. They're too busy cutting me off and talking over me to hear that, yes, I am in fact disabled. I do have paperwork. I've got a lot of it. And a lot of that evidence shows crimes that were committed against me too. And it's not okay that my friends and family don't exist, and that I am harmed over rights I'm supposed to have. Why don't I have those rights? Why am I not afforded those rights? Why am I not considered enough of a human being to have those rights? When you're victimized and you go to the police, you get to make a police report right away, and something is done right away. They start investigating right away before your police report's even in, because an oral report is good enough. But if they have no respect for you, they'll just talk over you and try to deter you from turning anything in. Once you've been through the treatment, being talked over, you already know when the point comes when it's time for you to go away, because if you don't, they're going to start playing victim. Like you're committing a crime by trying to get help stopping the abuse. Without a friend or family member there who actually cares about us, we will be victimized that way, not just by law enforcement, but by our employers, by our friends, by our own families. And who's most likely to take advantage of us? Our own families, like mine. And I already knew that's what they'd do. And I tried telling all of you that. My family is more likely to take advantage of me than they are to actually help me. But that's not what people wanted to interpret it that I said, is it? No, they interpret it however they choose. I made this, by the way. I got a whole bag full of stuff that I made out of paper clips, just to test out different mechanical concepts. I have no friends. I also have no place to build. I have nobody to talk to when I'm abused to help me to turn it in. None of these services will do that either. They just take advantage of the system to make a profit here and there. The way that I was treated at Tides of Change and by the police multiple times is fucking horrible. It's abhorrent. When the cops only cared what my predators had to say. Do you know how much faith that gives us? How much faith are we supposed to have in the police after that? Apparently a lot. You expect us to be thankful for it, for being talked over, for being treated like we're less than human. But then again, you treated us less than human too, didn't you? We're not heard. You get to hear from so many autistic people. The problem is you're not hearing us. You're assuming our retardation, treating us like we're retarded, pretending like we couldn't possibly know what being harmed is like. You tell us you understand that you've got an uncle or a cousin or a brother or someone who's obviously not somebody that you've ever listened to. We're prone to wanting our lives to end for a reason because you harm us for existing. We have PTSD just from existing because of your assumptions. You destroy our lives with the term mentally ill, and then you send us around in circles to places that are supposed to help us, but they all play stupid if we go alone, because they know they can just say, oh, he's mentally ill, he doesn't know what he's talking about. When we tell them about abuse that we're enduring, you get to hear time and again on this channel where mandated reporters wanted to reword it so that it's not a crime, or to where it must be a figment of my imagination. Fuck that. I'm not talking about aliens coming down and doing this shit. I'm talking about human beings with human motives and human emotions.